So a
Okay.
warm welcome to you, Kanchana, and our Vishwanidam Center for Asian Blossoming is a space for dialogue. And we realize that even in our present day world, there is not so much interaction among Asian culture and traditions. Most of our tragic orientation is still towards the West. Along with West and
Yes,
the,
yes,
and the dialogue between West and East, we also need to cultivate much more creative dialogue between North and South. And the rise of the global South, the discourse of the global South is a beginning, but we are all invited to make it more substantive. And I remember our first meeting in Chennai International Book Fair in Chennai, and
yes,
your kind co-presence. And I think you bring your contribution to the world as both a writer as well as a publisher. And then I was very happily, blessed to meet you also in Kalinga Literary Festival. Dear friend, Kalinga Literary Festival is a literary festival space which is held in Bhubaneswar and sometimes in Kathmandu also. So today we would like to discuss about the theme of contemporary Sri Lankan writers and the challenges of creativity in literary landscape. As a prelude, I would like to say a few thoughts that contemporary Sri Lankan writers like Kumaratilaka and Chandran and Arup Prasagam are gaining international recognition with works exploring post-war society, identity, and displacement. Other notable voices include diaspora writers like Roma Tierney and those contributing literature in various languages, often inspired by ancient texts and modern trends. And some of the award-winning writers are Snehan Karunatilaka, won the 2022 Booker Prize for his novel Seven Moons of Mali Almeida. And I met Snehan, I think 2 years ago in Kozhikode, Kerala Literature Festival in Kozhikode, which happens near the beach in Kozhikode. Then Sankari Chandran won the 2023 Mind Franklin Literary Award for Chai Time at Cinnamon Garden. Arun Arud Prasasam shortlisted for the Booker Prize, and Sugi Gagesanathan her novel Brotherless Night. And other prominent contemporary voices are Jen Arasanayakam, Roma Tierney, Shobha Shakti. His works originally published in Tamil are gaining global audience. And then literary trends and influences, post-war narratives, identity and diaspora, bilingualism and translation. And here, understanding Sri Lankan writers as bilingual Sri Lanka, Sinhalese and Tamil, but also how it is translated into English, but possibly, and we would like to know with your participation in literary festivals in India, whether there are efforts to translate directly from Sinhalese and Tamil to other Indian languages, possibly Hindi and others. Then a brief note about this much talked about book, Seven Moons of Mali Almeida. The novel is set in Sri Lanka in the 1990s and written in the second person. The central character, Mali Almeida, is dead photographer who sets out to solve the mystery of his own death. And then finally, we have also the noted writer from Sri Lanka, a Sri Lankan born but diasporic writer Michael Odantenje is the author of seven novels, including, The Cat's Table, Warlight, and a non-fiction book, The Conversations, and several books of poetry like The Cinnamon Pillar. And so Michael Odantenje He's a noted writer from Sri Lanka who writes mainly in English, I think, and his work has received a lot of engagement. For example, a friend of mine who teaches in Taiwan, and he has written one very important paper on Michael Odante's work. I have edited a book on pragmatism, spirituality, and society, in which he has tried to understand the spiritual dimensions of this much engaged writer from Sri Lanka, Michael Odantese. And you yourself, Kanchana, you are also a writer, so we invite you to kindly first speak about your work and then uh, tell us about a bit of the literary landscape in contemporary Sri Lanka, and then we would have a discussion with you. So, again, a warm welcome, Kanchana, please.
Uh, Thank you, Mr. Ananda. First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me for this session because I consider this as a great privilege because I'm going to share share about Sri Lankan literature with some of our uh, neighboring friends who are living in India. So first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. So I hope that you all know my name, Kanchana Priyakanta. So I'm based in Sri Lanka. I work as a writer uh, and a publisher. More than a publisher, I would like to call myself an entrepreneur because when it comes to our publishing wing, we are taking care of both digital publishing as well as printed publishing. If I tell you about my hometown, it's called Aludgama, and it's located in down south in Sri
One,
Lanka.
one request, Kanchana, could you kindly put on your video, please?
Yeah, due to some connection and data
Acha,
problems,
okay,
that's why I kept my video off. So if you don't mind me having it off
sure.
because of the
Okay,
video the data constraint,
okay, please go ahead without the video. Thank you.
yeah, thank you very much. So and okay, then yes, as a writer, if I talk about myself as a writer, I have written around 12 books so far. And recently, I'm going to launch my debut translation as well. So I started writing since my childhood. When I was just 7, I started sending poetry and short stories to children's paper, and they got published on them, and I was very happy, and that uh, motivated me to be a writer. So when I was in my 20s, I published my first collection of short stories, and it's called Sittara Saha Situwama. It's written in Sinhala, and Sittara Saha Situwama means Sittara means the artist, and Situwama means the painting. So that book gain some recognition within the literary critics and the readers. Therefore, one of the stories have been taken adapted into a radio drama. Then I published my very first science fiction collection of science fiction in 2013, and that book also got very good reviews and recognition. Then I published my first poetry collection in Sinhala that's called Sulanga Saharatu Malgasa. Sulanga means wind in English. Then Ratumal Gasa means Ratu red, Mal flowers, Gasa tree. Then I published my very first English poetry collection. It's called The Virgin Wife. That book got nominated in one of our national literary awards. So after the book got shortlisted, the doors in the literary landscape were open to me. So the most of the readers and critics got to know about me, and they started talking about my work. In 2016, I uh, published another collection of short stories. It's called Karmaksha, and that book had been translated into English as well as into Tamil. Then that book got translated into Nepali language as well. Nepali translation has been done by the writer based in Kathmandu. He's Bhishma Upetri. Sometimes you might have heard of him. Then the English translation won two national awards in Sri Lanka, and the Tamil translation also got popularized among Tamil readers in the country. So I would like to call Karmaksha a kind of a lucky charm to me. Then in 2023, yes, 2023, I published another collection of short stories that's called Manchitra Patiyaka. It means I am in a movie. That book also got sold more than 2,000 copies to the date. So that's a little bit about my writing journey. And yes, so before I became a teacher, I worked as a school teacher, government school teacher. Then I resigned from the job and became a full-time publisher as well as a writer. So as Mr. Anant introduced some of the well-recognized Sri Lankan writers, I also would like to add a little bit about them. When it comes to contemporary Sri Lankan literature, it is a diverse and dynamic field with writers. Uh,
Please go ahead.
when it
There are
comes to
some other.
okay, thank you. Then, when it comes to contemporary Sri Lankan literature, it is a diverse and dynamic field with writers exploring a wide range of themes. So, mostly from the lasting impact of the Civil War to post-colonial identity. Then we talk about gender, and especially we focus on social commentary. And most of the authors often draw from Sri Lanka's rich history, culture, and social fabric to create powerful narratives. So, as Mr. Anant mentioned, Shehan Karunatilaka is the most recently recognized international Sri Lankan author because he was capable of winning the Booker Prize in 2022. His novel is the Seven Moons of Mali Almeida. Fortunately, I could read the book and I find the book interesting, and I'm happy that book won the Booker Prize in 2022 because most of Shehan Karunatilaka's work often use magical realism and satire to address the country's turbulent history. So he had written another book, Chinaman, and there was another book called Chat with the Dead. So those two books are also based on country's turbulent history as well as the societal issues. So what attracts me towards Shihan Karunatilaka's works is his use of magical realism and satire throughout his writings. Then Arut Pragasam also was he also got shortlisted for the Booker Prize. The book A Passage North. Unfortunately, I couldn't read the book, but I found out that the book was about uh, a human cost of war and displacement. Then I think Selvadure is another internationally popular Sri Lankan writer in Sri Lanka. So he was mostly traveling from India to Sri Lanka and Sri Lanka to India. His most popular novel is Funny Boy because that was a very brave expression of sexuality, and it addressed the themes of identity and the experiences of LGBTQ uh, individuals in Sri Lanka. So the book got recognized within the Sri Lankan community as well as the international community. And the book had been adapted into a film from Sham Salvadure's Funny Boy. Then V.V. Ganesh Nathan's Brotherless Night also received significant critical attention for its portrayal of the Sri Lankan Civil War. And I think she won the Carol Shields Prize for Fiction in 2024. We have another writer, she's not very popular in Sri Lanka, Kanyadi Almeida, but still she won the Commonwealth Short Story Prize in 2021 for her story, I Clean the House. So her work often focuses on women's lives and social issues. I think when it comes to issues, the gender issues prevailing in South Asia is common to both Sri Lanka and India. So that's about the writers, the contemporary Sri Lankan writers who are still alive. Then, if I talk about challenges in the literary landscape. So, as I told you, for the best example, I can talk about that Kanya. If we take Kanya de Almeida, as I told you, that she won uh, the Commonwealth Short Story Prize in 2021 for her story, I Cleaned the House. But it was the very first time I heard about this writer, and that was the last time I heard about her work as well. So that is a sad thing because she was a internationally recognized writer, but she failed to keep releasing her work to the Sri Lankan readers. So if a writer is unable to release her work to the local readers, it's not very it's quite challenging for her to release her work into the international field, as mm, she's completely unknown now. The saddest part could be this. When it comes to Sri Lankan readership, uh, the readers can be divided into, there's a language divide. We have three, because Sri Lanka is a trilingual country, and our national languages are Sinhalese and Tamil, but the Tamil audience is larger than the other two audiences, which means the English larger than the Tamil readership as well as the English readership. Because of that reason, even though you got internationally recognized, sometimes a writer will find very difficult to have a book published with a publisher, and still the option of author publishing or self-publishing is available, but it is much more challenging to a writer if that writer is engaged in involved in some other work on her own or on his own, because that is one challenge. Mm, yes, another challenge faced by Sri Lankan writers is financial precarity, because most of Sri Lankan writers can't make a living from their writing alone. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, you are audible.
Okay. So, as I told you, that most Sri Lankan writers can't make a living from their writing alone. Therefore, most of those writers get into writing as a while engaging in some other full-time job. So this is kind of a part-time job. Actually, for them, writing cannot be considered even as a, most of them, writing cannot be considered even as a part-time job. I would rather say they engage in writing as kind of a, as they are engaging in a hobby, because they have to rely on some other professions to make living. That is a sad part, because as we all know that writing needs a lot of research if you are going to produce a proper book. Because sometimes people may think writing is very easy and you just need some imagination and some creativity in you. No, that is not enough to become a recognized and well established writer. You have to work on some research, you have to work on your book, you have to work on your writings, you have to work on editing. But unfortunately, due to these constraints, writers, most of the Sri Lankan writers are unable to become full-time writers. So because of that, some of them just publish one or two books and stop being in this industry, and they just leave it because they get engaged with some other work. And another challenge I see here is limited market and distribution. As I told you that the readership in Sri Lanka is very limited when compared to Indian market. But fortunately in Indian market, the people, those who are writing in English, get more audience than the other than the writers who write in other languages. In Sri Lanka, it's not the same. In Sri Lanka, the Sinhala readership is larger than the other two readerships, but still, that readership is also a limited readership. Most probably, it is limited to 1,000 to 2,000 copies. But there are instances, some writers get their books published in 10,000 or more copies. There are scenarios like that, but for most of the writers, it is not the same. So the market is unfavorable when it comes to the number. Uh, so the local reading market is relatively small, and the print runs are often limited due to that. So, and I should talk about the high production cost as well. Sri Lanka imports paper from India. So, with that importation, the prices of the books have become costly. And now we have another major problem. We have the government has imposed VAT on books. So I think Sri Lanka is the only country which has imposed some tax on books. Unfortunately, due to the economic inflation we had in 2022, the government says that they are helpless and they can't help with it, and it will take time for them to take it away. But due to those problems, due to those issues, it's the readers who suffer. So they find it difficult to spend a lot of money on books, and they used to spend a lot of money on books, but now it has become limited. And due to that situation, it's again the writers and the publishing industry which has been impacted. Mm. Then if I talk about royalty, that most of the time writers complain that they are not happy with the uh, 10% share of the royalty. But as a publisher in the country, when we calculate the profit margin the publisher has, I must tell you that it's also going to be just 10% and maximum 12 to 15%. So most of the time, the writers and the readers see it as publishers are getting 90%, but it is not the reality. Publishers are also getting a limited margin in Sri Lankan publishing industry. I have no idea about how it works in Indian publishing industry, but in the Sri Lankan publishing industry, it is like that. And everything has influenced the production cost and makes it difficult to writer to reach a wide audience for publishers. And when writers find it difficult to reach a wider audience, publishers are hesitant to invest in new or unproven talent. There can be so many talents in the country, but publishers, as I told you, publishers are hesitant to invest in them, and then they are pushed towards to self-publish their books, and sometimes those books are also not up to the standards, and sometimes the books becomes a success. After the books become a success, then publishers they it is not that difficult for them to find a publisher. So, and when it comes to cultural and political constraints, I should speak about that as well, because sometimes there's a censorship and censorships on books, because writers often have to navigate a socio-political climate where certain topics, particularly those related to civil war, ethnic tensions, and political corruption, because those topics are considered very sensitive, and there are instances writers got uh, jailed since they wrote them and publicized them. So that can lead to self-censorship as writers fear repercussions. So I think that's why the government officials keep doing that. But we have some good faith about the current government. As I told you that we have that language divide in the country, so it's a barrier, because most of the Sinhala readers can't read Tamil language, and most of the Sinhala readers can't read English language as well. And most of the Tamil readers, they can't read Sinhala, and most of the English readers can't read Sinhala or Tamil. So we have that problem. And if the readership is fluent in all the three languages, we can have some good hopes that they would be able to read in whatever the language. But unfortunately, it is not so. And there are some debates over authenticity as well. Because when it comes to Kanyadi Almeida's writing, and as I remember that there were some other writings as well, especially when it comes to Anug's book, that the Sri Lankans had some complaints, even to that Mali Almeida's book. So the complaint they had about the books were that they are not authentic, because most of the time when they live when they live abroad, they just write from the imagination. That's the complaint that these people are having over authenticity. Because most of the critics have questioned the work of these diaspora writers, creating a tension between writers living in country and those who have migrated. Because when a person migrates, they won't get the true picture of the country. They will have to see the country from distance, and the distance they view the country sometimes become debatable, and sometimes the things have already changed, but they are still addressing the old issues existed in the country. So that can happen. The danger in that happening is that through them only the other countries view the country. So because writers are very responsible, writers have to be accountable and responsible on what they do, because it's through them most of the people get to see and view a country, culture, or whatever the issues prevailing in the country. So that's all. That's a very brief uh, explanation.
Thank you, Stuti Kanchana, so for your presentation, and especially some of the writers that we do not, Bunyadi and others. So thank you. So now, dear friends, please join the conversation, and I would request Minati to please nurture it. And Kanchana, you would kindly share your thoughts after listening to other friends' questions and comments, and you can kindly make a note of this if it is possible. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure. Yes, it's okay.
And let me begin by, requesting. I request you to tell a little more about your work, a little more, and about Kanyadi. And you also mentioned about another writer. So tell us a little more about it. And do you write poems? If you write poem, if you can kindly share a few lines of your poem.
Okay, if I talk about my work, so the very my debut translation is going to be released in September Book Fair. The International Book Fair will be held in September. September means from 27 September to 6th October at the BMICH in Colombo. So in the book fair, I will be launching my debut translation. It's the translation of the book, This City is Empty. That book has been written by Raushan Abdullah Glu, and it is a psychological novel. The book which had been translated into English, that the my from my work which had been translated into English is that is called Dream Catchers. It is available on time because that book is out of print at the moment. Dream Catchers is available online. So if you like, you can have a look at it if you are willing to read it. Then, of course, yes, I write poetry, but unfortunately, I didn't bring any of my poems with me. So I would like to share them some other time. Uh, yes, so I really love to I really love to write poetry, but most of the time I write short stories. Then I have a plan to release a novel in 2026. It will be released most probably in English as well, not just in Sinhala. It will be released in Sinhala as well, English as well. And I'm planning to release it in Tamil language too.
Oh, very nice. Thank you. And now, Minati, please, you kindly nurture the subsequent conversation.
Yeah, thank you. So we have mostly so many writers and mostly female writers and writers are there with us. So I would like to invite Dr. Betty Govindan. Dr. Betty Govindan is from South Africa. Ma'am, please, over to you. She's Thank you. I listened when I joined with great interest, and thank you to the speaker for giving us this amazing overview. I think of the South African Indian writings and South African writings in general, and the overlaps with how we write about home and belonging, and how we write about a place and our history. And so all of that creates the mix and the chemistry for our writings. I have led a few book clubs, and on recently we did the 7 Moons of Malia Almeida, and we were quite excited. He actually came to South Africa. He came to Cape Town. We were quite excited about his winning the Booker. I'm not able to find, I wrote a poem on his writing, and I'll share it with you when I find it. But we were just so drawn into the Sri Lankan context and the Sri Lankan history, and the way that is reflected in the writings. We could identify with that. And of course, the whole question of the Sri Lankan diaspora. I remember once going to Wales and having a dinner with the Sri Lankan family. And I remember once waiting at the airport in Dubai and talked to fellow passengers, and they were all from Sri Lanka. So it's quite interesting about the dispersal of Sri Lankans, as we have dispersals of different peoples across the world, South Africans included. I went to Moscow and went to the graves of some of our comrades who went into exile. So in so many ways, although we see such mayhem about migration and about refugees and asylum seekers, this is the story of our history. This is, and I often say that they are there because you were in their country. So I'm here because of some certain historical reasons. I'm here in South Africa, and my grandmother crossed the Indian Ocean. These were all tied to history. And so this whole question of belonging and who decides who belongs and where comes up constantly in our literature. And I think literature, sadly, our schools and universities are not valuing literature to the extent that they're valuing technology and subjects like that. I'm all for science and all for technology and engineering. But alongside that, I think if we encouraged our students and people to read the literatures that come from our contexts, they'll be able to understand themselves, the community, and the world better. And Sri Lankan writers are right there, as well as Indian writers from the subcontinent and from the diaspora, are out there speaking outwards to the world and speaking inwards to the different groups and communities. It's fascinating. And getting this insight into this world, the Sri Lankan world. And of course, the Sri Lankan world is part of the entire globe, as you point out. But when I find my little piece, I'll share it with the group. But thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It is always very nice to listen to you, all your insights. Thank you so much. I would now invite Sister Shalini to share her insights, her reflections. Sister Shalini, please, over to you.
Yes, Minati.
Yeah, please.
Under your command, I have to say something. First
it's
of all,
not command, it's a request. It's a
oh,
request.
no.
It's always nice
Command
to
in the
listen
sense
to you.
friendly. Minati, friendly command. Friendly command, so that's okay.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
for your
Kanchana, you have opened a big my eyes, because I never thought, first of all, the troubles, the challenges writers face, especially in the Sri Lankan context. It was very, very clear through your presentation. And I was wondering, it is many of the writers cannot earn a living as writers. Therefore, many of them will have to take up a job, and this would be like not even a part-time, but as a hobby, as you rightly pointed out. And the difficulty in publishing, the language difficulty, and the importance of writing, the importance of literature, whatever form, short stories or poetry, somehow that is part of our culture, the development of the culture, and also it has a big role to play in keeping the society healthy and on certain human values. So, in the given context, my short question is, Kanjana, can you think of any one or two ways that you could overcome the challenges that you have beautifully shared with us? How do you, as a Sri Lankan writer, hope to overcome one or two of these challenges?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much
just
for that.
request Kanchana ma'am, please note down these things. We will collect a few more thoughts, then you can answer together towards the end.
Sure. The first
Thank you.
question is how to overcome the challenges, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So now I would like to invite Chandra Misra, ma'am. She's there online. She's from Chandrappa. Please, you can unmute and share your thoughts if you have it.
Yeah. Good morning to you all from Philadelphia, America. What a great morning, although it was very early, but still I'm enjoying. I am amazed how much our distinguished guests have done, like in writing, publishing, poetry, prose. That is really mind-boggling to me. I am just a listener and admirer of writers. I do write my thoughts. I live in USA for last 55 years. I'm from India, from a small village. Only as a professional, I became a medical scientist coming here. So I did not read much, but after my retirement, somehow I thought of expressing myself and wrote a memoir which is called A Girl from Pathuria Sahi, which I'm trying to translate in English also. I write small stories of my experience and small poems also. Only one book is published and many short stories. I was just thinking how you all she did it and other people. I guess my time was different and the technology is not there. I'm after my 70s, so we did not have this chance. Had this chance was there, I'm sure many people would have been written their thoughts, at least like a memoir. I am elated and joyous that Anantagiri, you all are, see, he's younger than me and so also Minati, so I'm saying, giving me the chance to sit down here early in the morning and listening to everything. And if I get a chance, I will try to read some of your excellent writing. That's it. The day has started for me really good. And literature is so good. I never knew because as a child, I did not read because we came from a very poor family. Getting 2 meals was hard for us. Luckily, I came to USA and that changed my life. Like I studied and I have 3 children and started something. Anyway, I'm not here to tell my story, but it is really heart-touching. And I'm glad that in my later part of my life, instead of sitting, I'm writing and somehow getting some recognition because I write from my heart, from my soul. So I guess that touches people. And I also got opportunity here to do something. Thank you so much, Minati and Anantagiri, for inviting me to sit here and listen to the vibrant people of literature. And with this, I mute and I'll listen.
Ma'am. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, so much. But the fact is, where we go travel together, we learn from each other every time. Just, so now may I invite Professor MOI Mashur sir to share some of his reflection. MOI Mashur sir, over to you. Mashur sir, can you hear me? Please unmute and okay, as he's taking some time, may I invite Mr. Ashutosh? I see his name in this box. Mr. Ashutosh, please. Yeah, Mashur sir, please. Mashur sir, go on. We are able to hear you.
Hello, ma'am. Hello,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Hello.
Am I
Hello, we are
audible?
able to hear, sir. Yeah,
Am
you
I
are
audible?
audible. Yes,
Okay,
yes, you
ma'am.
are very much audible.
I am very thankful to Giri sir and Minati ji for inviting me to participate in the seminar. And as far this topic is concerned, I was very much curious about knowing the development and the stats of the Sri Lankan literature, especially the fiction and poetry. And the worthy speaker has given us a very good detailed account of Sri Lankan literature, that is poetry, prose, and fiction, novel, short story, and then also the translation. I have a question for the worthy speaker, and my question is, during the disturbance in Sri Lanka, which continued for many years, what was the impact and what was the influence? Was it to some extent positive or negative in Sri Lankan literature? And I think in Sri Lanka they have 2-3 languages, Tamil and Sinhali and Sinhali O. So my question is, what was the impact of the political disturbances on the Sri Lankan writers and then actually the literature? My dear, that is my question.
Thank you, Mashur sir. I hope the speaker is taking the note of all the queries.
Yeah,
Here is one question on top.
I will give my reflections later on, but first I want to know about I want to get a reply of this question first.
Yeah, sure. Okay, she will answer, then we will invite you.
Okay,
and one more
okay.
question is there from Mr. Ashutosh in the chat box. He has asked that recently he read a translated poem by Haldhar Nag, originally written in Odia. So he says, I understood it one way, but my friend who read the original text explained it differently. In this difference, mainly due to the problem in the translation. Is it because the poetry itself is difficult to translate or interpret? So that is his query, I believe. So next, may we invite Mr. Rafan? Mr. Rafan, please.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I joined a bit late. but I mean, I am not a writer myself. I call myself an artist though, but I have seen that, like, I mean, I tried writing as well because I've seen that writing is one of the best ways of expressing oneself and like communicating and everything. But as I was not able to join the earlier meeting, I'm not able to contribute much. But I love the way, like, the speaker observed how like different writers from different spaces are able to observe and create discourses in different ways. How the Sri Lankan writers living in Sri Lanka are able to look at and create knowledge, like disseminate knowledge, like a public discourse from a more authentic way than, like, authors who have moved abroad and look at it from a different perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Afan. Anantabhai, do you have any questions or I can carry on with mine?
Yes, Minati, please, you.
Yeah. Thank you. It was very nice to listen to the writer Kanchana Priyakanta. Congratulations, you have so many. I mean, you are a publisher and as well as a writer. So, while listening to all of you, I must say I was a bit overwhelmed. Like, there are means a wave of thought is coming to my mind when B.T. Govindan ma'am described about belongingness, Sister Shalini about keeping the society healthy, and that Chandra ma'am shared her experience. I believe that as you age, you have always to write more. If you write the experience, because we gain experience. Means every movement. So as you age, actually, we have to write more only. But one thing I just would she described many challenges faced by Sri Lankan writers, even as Indian writers also. I mean, I particularly feel that we also means face a lot of challenges. So let us take that Snehan Karuna Tilakam that I met him in Bangalore Literature Festival, and as well as there was a full week coverage, main topic coverage was there on his book, and the book excerpt was there. I read. He has written very beautifully about that, no, that ghost, how the ghost finds himself in a, very transitional way to the truth and satire, both things, how it is mixed up with both the things. But that concern is until unless it goes to some prestigious award like Booker's, you take it, no one else bother to that what others are writing. If I am not wrong, see, out of 100 books, maybe one Booker's Prize, one book might win. But, it does not mean that others writers are not writing something very significant or very, that you should read. So that is one question, and that is one thing, whether it is Sri Lankan, all the writers feel that. And in Indian context, what we feel, I feel, what is my observation is, here, no, the people who are in academics, who are media personalities, who has, better prefix for their name. I mean, people consider that they are the better writer. But in my belief, it should not be like that. You should see the particular piece of writing, the particular book, how it is, how what way it has been written. It does not they say the person who is a good student need not be a good teacher. The same way, the person who has a good academic record, good position, it need not have that the writing skills, the expressing skills very well. It should not be that way. That challenge we face, and whatever the Sri Lankan writers means they write, that also, nearly we also face the same problem, many things. But in this, anyway, many have asked about that civil conflict and all. Then I would like to know the cultural stigma and the what you say that what is the means how to put the question, I'm getting a bit confused. That you said that many writers are means they are been jailed because they are writing about to what is the, how did they overcome it? Whether there is a group or that association or some literature society, something is there who will, ensure the freedom of speech for the writers, or they get pressed under those political pressure? How does that happen? And what is the role of cultural stigma? And that I read somewhere that the female writers don't write more romantic novels because they will be judged. So, what is your take on these issues? Thank you. Anantrai, if you have anything, you can ask.
So thank you, Minati. Now let us listen to Kanchana, please. Kanchana.
Okay, thank you very much for your questions. So first I'd like to answer the question that how to overcome the challenges faced by these writers. So actually, as a writer myself, and uh, since I have witnessed several writers who have become professional writers in Sri Lanka, uh, those are the things I observed, and I think that those things can, if we can implement them in our work as well, it will be helpful up to some. So we don't have to depend on what I am telling you now, but still we can try on several solutions. The first one is that uh, in countries like ours, I think we must better have better understanding between the writer and publisher. In Sri Lanka, there are many publishing houses, they don't go for a contract. And there are so many, even the senior writers, including, there are so many writers, including the senior writers, who don't like to sign a contract or an agreement when it comes to publishing a book, because they are used to work on telling, okay, this is fine, that we always work on trust and so on. But I think now it's 2025, and there's nothing wrong in working, having a better contract which gives you everything explained, what will happen to your book and what you are supposed to do with your book. And when it comes to writers, that some of them think that they shouldn't work on promoting or work on marketing their book. I am against that view, because, in my opinion, I believe in that if you have written a book and it's yours, it's all right, a publisher will publish it, but still it's yours. Your name will be recognized, your name will be known, your work will be read. You will get so many advantages and benefits if your book or if your work get recognized. So in order to stand out in a competitive literary landscape, you have to show what you have done. If you think, okay, someone will come and save me, that somebody, that a hero will come and take my book out and show the world this is a good book, no, then you will have to wait until you die and someone will do that, but you won't be alive. If you truly want your book to stand out when you are alive, you have to work on it. Because in countries like Sri Lanka, and I can't give any comment on India because I don't have any idea about how publishing industry work in India. But when it comes to Sri Lanka, it's a small industry. The publishers are also, most of the publishers are also small scale entrepreneurs. So the resources, the human resources they have on different sectors are very limited. So rather than depending on someone for doing each and everything, it's good that if a publisher can carry out all those things, it's a good thing. But personally, I don't wait until my publishers promote my books. I want them to promote my books because they help us. But still, I work on promoting my work. I work on marketing. I work on helping them to market my book. There are so many ways, and now the technology, we can use the technology, we can use whatever the connections we have, then your book will stand out. But still, promoting and marketing is not enough. You have to write something which is capable of standing out. That is also there. When it comes to most of the writers, they are the ones, those who are afraid of breaking barriers. They have mind forged manacles in their head, and they always touch the same stories, same themes which have been touched by uh, the previous writers, and they replicate the same thing with just the change in names. It shouldn't be so. If we look at why Mali Almeida, that Shehan Karunatilaka's Mali Almeida stood out between among all those books, we can see that the way the creativity in him is all over the book. We don't feel to keep the book away until we finish it, whether it won the book or not. Because there are some readers in Sri Lankan readers, they read the book before the book got the Booker Prize. But still, that book is good. Even the book gets that victory or not, the book is good. The book stands out in the country among the readership because of its creativity, because of its novelty, and because of its authenticity. That there's a debate about the authenticity of that book, but still we stand for the book since it's brilliant. So we are, as writers, we have to maintain a creative brilliance. That is another way we can address the problem we are having, because in Sri Lanka there are some writers, they are professional writers, they have become full-time writers because of the way they are addressing their readership. So if you are going to write poetry, it is quite challenging. But if you are going to write novels, or if you are going to write short stories, especially if you are going to write novels, then it's not going to be difficult if you are truly creative, if you truly work on your research, because you have to give some sometimes we have to write our stories, select our themes or facts. The facts have to be reliable. They have to be true. We can't just imagine something and write it on a paper and publish it as a book. So you have to be very careful. If you love what you write. I remember that someone here told that she writes from her heart. Yes, that if that genuinity is there, if that effort is there, your readers know it, and there's a possibility that the readers will embrace your book. So I have seen such scenarios in Sri Lanka. So that is one way you can address those challenges. And there's another thing that we can do. Rather than depending on conventional publishing methods, we can uh, we can uh, hold hand with alternative publishing models such as digital publishing. Because if you why do we know Shakespeare? Shakespeare is known because his work is still available. So if you want to be a known writer and make your work available, you have to find a way. Sometimes when it comes to printed publishing, it will be just a limited number of copies that get printed, no matter how good your book is. But if you are going to publish your books digitally as well, then there's a possibility that the books will be available as long as the technology is there. So, in my opinion, I personally believe that I, I have I have put a lot of effort into my work. So I want to see them being available even after my death. So I choose to publish in a physical format as well as in the digital format, because then I know that my work will be read no matter whatever happens to the printed publishing industry, and no matter whatever happens to it, the work will be available online, the work will be available digitally. So the digital work will be accessed by even the printed, even by the people with printing disabilities. Then another way is that it's important for a government to invest and support the literary industry, the publishing industry in the country. I saw that in Chennai, because in the Chennai book fair, I saw that how much effort they are putting into having their work translated into other languages. So I see it as a very good initiative. And I truly like it if the current Sri Lankan government is able to remove or reduce the VAT on books to make them more affordable. That will be another uh, proper initiative which can be done to promote literature. Then there are another ways that especially we have to promote reading. We must do something to promote reading all over the world, because reading has to compete with the digital or digital mode of entertainment. So if we compare books with TikTok or any other social media platforms or YouTube or whatever the form, we can see that people are more keen on and more interested in engaging with those formats rather than with book. So we have a challenge. So if we want to uh, keep this industry to us, if we want to continue being writers or authors, we have to have the readers engaged in reading. Therefore, we have to make, especially children, read the books. We have to make everyone fall in love with reading once again. So for that, promoting literary clubs or reading clubs or writers club or whatever it is very valuable and important, especially if it can be promoted through government support in schools and universities. That would be much better. So another way of promoting literature is by promoting translation, because to bridge the language divide, there needs to be a great focus on translating quality Sinhala and Tamil works into English and vice versa, because that would not only broaden the readership of local language writers but also help enrich the entire literary landscape. Another way is that encouraging international collaborations. So if Sri Lankan writers can collaborate with international publishers or literary agents and universities to gain wide exposure, that will be truly helpful. So participating in international book fairs and literary festivals can also help us connect with global audiences. That's how I got my Dreamcatchers publishing to Nepali language. I met that Bishma Upetri in one of the Foswa literary festivals. So when he read Dreamcatchers, he found it interesting and he wanted to have it translated into Nepali language. So that's how I got my work translated into other languages through connections. Because sometimes if you just stay in the country and sit and wait until someone comes and save you, that won't happen. You have to do whatever you can. So when it comes to that freedom of expression, I think with when this freedom of expression as a writer, I believe there should be freedom of expressions without any limitations or without any boundaries or without any restrictions. Because it is a duty and a responsibility of a writer to show what cannot be comprehended by other people. That writers have that responsibility. So in that case, it's all about how government operates. Because if the government, the involvement of the government is sensible, and if they can interpret it in a open-minded way, nothing won't happen to the writers. If it's not going that way, then writers will have some fear in expressing themselves. So I am against it as a writer. But as a writer, I believe that we have to be responsible about what we write. We have to have some facts. We must have done our research before producing some work rather than just producing it on our mere imagination. So it is, in a way, it is debatable, but still I believe that freedom of expression should be there. And when it is there, since you are a writer, you can use so many literary techniques. When it comes to 1984 by George Orwell, look how he has produced 1984 in a subtle way. It is a political satire. The book still, we can still relate that book with the political context in any country. So that is the brilliance of writer. So if the writer is not allowed to express them in a realistic way, so there are so many other literary techniques writers can make use of them. Even that's what Shehan Karunatilak has done in his Seven Moons of Mali Almeida. If there's yeah, so that is a small overview on how we can overcome the challenges faced by writers. And as I remember that there was another question, that what was the impact of the political issues on writer and role of stigmas and all. Yes. So yes, that when it comes to how politics impact writers, I must tell you this very frankly. In Sri Lanka, there are some writers, they are very biased to political parties. And there are some independent writers as well. They are unbiased. They voice in a very logical way, but still it is very threatening to the rulers, especially to the previous governments which were in Sri Lanka. Because of those reasons, especially for the independent writers who addressed the issues related to war, who addressed issues related to gender issues, mostly issues related to war and religion. Because in Sri Lanka, war and religion are topics which are considered very sensitive. Religion institutions try to influence the decisions taken by the government. So when a book which consists of a context related to religion is released, so that's where most of the writers, that's where most of those religious institutes get offended. And I can tell you one situation that arose 3 years back. It was just the topic. The topic was Budunge Rastiyaduwa, which means the loitering of Buddha. Because in Sri Lanka, that temples, Buddhist temples have a huge authority over government. The name, since the name of Budunge Rastiyaduwa, some religious institution wanted to have that writer jailed. But luckily, the publisher was kind of an influential person in the country at that time, and even the writer has influential connections. Thankful to them, no harm came on the publisher or the writer, but they couldn't continue the print of the book. So it was one situation, one scenario. And another time, a writer just wrote a short story and released it on Facebook. And again, a monk was against the context of the short story and had the person, that writer was not an influential writer. He didn't have any publisher to support. Then he got jailed. But when that happened, the we all got together because it can happen to us as well. So we don't want anything like that happen to any of our writers, whether they are biased, politically biased, religiously biased, or whatever it is. If something is happening to a writer, it can happen to anyone. We don't want that to prevail in the country. Therefore, we fought for that. We fought fiercely for that. We, a group of writers and lawyers, got together and stood for that writer and got him out. And that case is, but the person is uh, that free now. So such things happen. We don't have an exact group, but still, when something happened to a writer, writers, the other writers and some publishers, not all the publishers, some publishers get together and don't let such things happen. We have a writers association in the country. Sometimes they involve in the problems uh, involved when writers face problems. And we have the publishers association in the country. Even the publishers association involves when something happened to a writer, not to many writers. Those things happen to a few number of writers. The problem is when those things happen to a few number of writers, the other writers get scared to express their opinions freely. So we have that challenge with us. And when it comes to women, unfortunately in Sri Lanka, more, I don't like to call it unfortunately. I would rather say that it's their choice that when it comes to female writers, most of the female writers base their books on love stories or romance. There's a reason for that. One thing is most of the Sri Lankan female writers, I'm sad to tell that they are not politically conscious. So when they are not politically conscious and romance is the only thing that they are capable of writing, they focus on writing. And sadly, the mass audience also loves to read romance, the stories based on romance. So they are catering the demand. We can't say that it is bad, it is their choice, and that's all they can do. But there are some female writers who have strong political consciousness, and they stand against when some political injustices happen in the country. They voice those issues through their writings, and they are writing fearlessly. I have to mention that as well. Those writers include Katyana Amarasinghe and V.V. Murray. There are so many female writers, Sunetra Rajakarunanayake, because they address the social issues, political issues, gender issues. They are not scared of addressing those issues, as they are uh, conscious about those issues. Then I think I answered all the questions. Did I answer all of your questions?
Yeah, there was one more question on the chat, no, about the translation. So That one, if you
wait,
can.
what is that? Wait. Yes, when it comes to translating poetry, I think translating poetry is the most difficult thing in the world. When it comes to translating a novel, it's not that difficult because you have a lengthy text. You can rewrite or you can produce it in a way people understand without doing any harm to the original context. But when it comes to a short story or a poem, when it comes to a good short story or a good poem, good poetry, then the problem arises because I have come across such problems. We have some short story writers in Sri Lanka and we have some poets in Sri Lanka. Their works are untranslatable because the words that they have used in their work is untranslatable as we don't have any uh, words or phrases which could be used instead of what they have written. So I think that's what had happened to this poetry as well, because if someone is trying to translate a poetry means that person is capable of translating, no? Because not everyone can touch a translation. So, but the thing is that translating a poetry is not that easy as it has so many uh, so many hidden meanings, subtle meanings. A word may represent so many meanings, and the word used to translate that word might have not done the same work. So that could be the reason why that the translation of poetry was not very successful.
Thank you. Now I see Dr. Maruf Shah is there in line. Maruf sir, would you like to share something?
And I think I have another question.
It was wonderful to listen on the, especially the with regard to political attitude of writers, and she also said women writers are mostly politically not conscious. So, could it be attributed to certain authoritarianism in a way, political apparatus, or there has been technically democracy also there? So, why is it that political consciousness has not been able to penetrate to the roots? And writers are by definition supposed to be very critical and very conscious by definition. I was just wondering.
Yes, one thing is that in Sri Lanka, women talking politics was not encouraged decades ago. So it not just women, it is not just a problem with women. Even that is a problem that exists with men as well. Sometimes they are bit more aware of what's happening in the political landscape than many women, but still they are also not very well aware of what's truly happening and what this politics is. And that is a sad part in the country because there was a time that people were discouraged to talk about politics. It was considered as a shame to talk about politics. It's like, I'm not into politics. It's like that if you are not into politics, you are a good person. That's how people viewed other people who are not into politics. So those the advantages, when people behave that way, when people chose to be unaware of or unconscious of what's happening in political landscape, the people, those who were benefited out of it were politicians. Luckily, that's changing now because that social media influencers and the writers have become more fearless, and they are trying to make people aware of what politics is, what social injustice is, and what political correctness is. So those things are educated informally now, but I don't see any formal solution to address those issues. As long as such issues prevail, I think rulers find it easy to govern. But when you are more aware of such things, that rulers can't work on the way they want to work. But anyhow, I see some positive change in the country regarding that, because of the social media and writers. They are educating people informally. So we see some positive changes in them. That's why we had the struggle. That's how the country got the rulers changed, uh, which was never imagined possible, but things were possible because of the fearlessness and the consciousness, political consciousness of people. And I see another question. What call it? Okay. Please tell us how you do so many things. You have a routine, how you write. Okay, this is how I do things. I am very passionate about everything I do. When you're passionate about everything you do, even I'm passionate about having my meal even. So when you're passionate about things you do, when you're passionate about your life, when you're passionate about living on this earth, then you can have your own routine. You will do it whatever the way because you love it. So I don't like to give any advice on this is the routine that you must follow or nothing like that. There's nothing like that. Be passionate about what you do, then you will do it. That's what I believe. So that question doesn't have an exact answer. The answer relevant to me is that I am passionate about everything I do. Okay, then what quality a writer must keep in mind since time is limited? Do you have any regret that you have not done small things like women do with uh, FY and friends? Okay. What's meant by FY? The quality. First of all, you must be happy with what you write. So when I write, there's this point that I pay attention to. So there are times that I have to include certain facts. I make sure the facts are, I'm not putting them as a reporting style, but even in a creative way, when I include any fact, I make sure they are true and accurate. Because every time I write something, I think that this is what I believe. Okay, this is, if this is going to be read by someone who is very well aware of the subject I have addressed, that person must appreciate what I have written. If you are following that method, then there's a very low possibility you are making a content which is of low quality. So if your work will definitely be high quality if you are true to what you write, if you are passionate and genuine about what you write, and if you're authentic about what you write, and if you know about what you write. And no, I don't have any regrets in my life because this is the life I have chosen to live. So I don't compare myself with my friends or relatives or anyone who is living in the world. I am happy and satisfied about my life. And if I am to die tomorrow, I have no regrets thinking, okay, I couldn't do this thing or that thing. So I am very happy and content about my life. And I think that mindset has made me uh, happy and satisfied. Then, who is your big support to encourage your years? My biggest support is that my family. I have to say that my family, my husband is very supportive, and everyone around me is very supportive. Even my staff members are very supportive. I think the entire world has to give us something if we are going to be on the top of where we are. sometimes we forget and sometimes we take them for granted. Sometimes we take what society is doing to us. Sometimes we uh, take the blessings that we have for granted. So I think my life is my biggest support. Then, yes, this earth is a biggest support. So I consider everything around me, every person around me as my biggest support. Especially, I'm thankful to my closest family members. Try for answering.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Ananta bhai, anything else you would like to add, or I will just have one more query actually. Ananta bhai, you can.
Please do. And also, as a tribute to Kanchana, I would invite you and Betty to kindly find one of your poems each and to present at the end. So please go ahead.
Thank you. You just I would just like to know. I mean, Ananta bhai is a big advocate of those things. Co-writing. We do a lot of co-writing together. Like you take it. I'm part of the 35 books now. I'm in a part of the co-writing, and my own book. 4 books I have authored so far. 4 books and 30 to 35 books. We co-author. So what is the condition of in Sri Lankan writing society? Does it really, I mean, believe in this collaborative work? That is what I would like to know. Thank you.
Yes, but in Sri Lanka, uh, we don't have many co-authored books, but there are few. When it comes to Sri Lanka, that the readership is okay to accept anything if it is up to standards or up to the quality they are expecting in a book. The problem what I have seen is that co-authoring is something very interesting and very brilliant, but the problem is not a person can't co-author with everyone, right? So there, that challenge is there in Sri Lankan context because sometimes a writer may not like to work with another writer. It means to co-author. They may be friends, but still they will find it difficult to co-author a work and promote it because if it is going to be published as a book, the royalty will be divided. One thing is that because they are not going to get 20%, the 10% will be divided. So those are practical problems which will arise when people co the books. If they are okay with that, and if their writings match each other, if their writings complement each other's writing, there are instances some people have done it and it was well recognized.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. May I invite now Dr. Betty Govindan to share her
Yes,
poetry she
yes.
had offered.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I couldn't locate it while this program was on, but I will find it and send it to the group and you can share it. But I drew from the book and it was a very interesting novel, and not everyone agreed with the approach, but I found that I could understand what the writer was trying to do and working with all the competing worlds that happen in one's existence and even the afterlife. So how is our earthly history played out even in the afterlife? So it was a very interesting concept. And but I'm sorry I can't find it, but I'll share it sometime. Thank you.
Now, what we request you, Betty, is not this particular poem. You are also an artist of many beautiful poems. So from one of your any poem, you can kindly find if it is possible. After Minati presents, you can kindly present your.
Yes, I could do that.
Yeah. So you can kindly take a minute. In the meantime, Minati, you can kindly present one of your poems.
Is there
Yeah,
any
so
theme you would like? Any theme or any
Yeah,
person?
yeah, any poem that you can kindly
And this is, we are doing it as our tribute to our thank you to Kanchana. And we would have another session with you on your poems when with some preparation.
Sure. So, thank you, Anantavai. As always, I say, poems, short stories, and novels. Everything has its own charm. As I always believe that poetry, in limited words, in limited time, you could talk big things. So let me, Anantavai would have heard it so many times, but let me repeat again that the father of our nation, his birthday is coming on October 2nd, Gandhi. So I would read the poetry. Who killed Gandhi? Who killed Gandhi?
Yes.
You, me, someone else. Who killed Gandhi? You, me, or someone else? Maybe we all. Maybe our ignorance, the sick mentality of a disgusting society. Blinded with the selfish motives, reduced to merely the preaches, weakened and wounded by so called religion. It is weakened and wounded by so called religion. The black cloud of ignorance. The black cloud of ignorance is still heavy in the world sky, but the fire is still burning, waiting to ignite the million minds. There is a bit of Gandhi in each of us sleeping deep inside. There is a bit of Gandhi in each of us sleeping deep inside. Throw some light there. Throw some light there to wake it up. The genie of satyagraha and nonviolence. Gandhi, an ideology, a mass consciousness. Gandhi, the bright thought process of million. Gandhi, an ideology, a mass consciousness. Gandhi, the bright thought process of millions. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, may I read the poem that I wrote since I'm prompted by the Gandhi poem? May I read the poem I wrote for Valyama? So,
Yes, please.
Valyama was a young passive resistor. She joined the passive resistance from Johannesburg and crossed the border, came down to Natal, and she was arrested. This was in the early 20th century. She was arrested by the police at that time. And there is a statue and memorial of her in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and there is one in India. And so this is about a young woman. I can give you more details at another time and her work with Kasturba, the wife of Gandhi. But this is a poem I wrote in honor and as a tribute to Valyama. To Valyama, one of Gandhi's early satyagrahis in South Africa. With your sari hitched at your waist, you walk tall, striding with purpose. Inspired by Gandhi's call for warriors of peace, you join the long march to freedom. They tried to bludgeon your zeal against tyranny and injustice, the travesty of power. You lie on the dungeon floor, your feet bruised and your hair matted. You reach across the dank floor to caress the feet of Kasturba, calloused with care. Slowly, the great hand loosens its grip. Your vagabond spirit soars, yearning for air. When you stepped over the line at Falthrust, you crossed the border from apathy to defiance. You crossed the border from comfort to rage. You crossed the border from silence to suffering. You crossed the border from cowardice to heroism. You crossed the border from fear to poetry. You crossed the border from bondage to freedom. You crossed the border from servitude to dignity. You crossed the border from death to life. Your name, Valyama, is now emblazoned in Mother India, Mother Africa, and across the last sky. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Minati. Let us invite Chandra Appa also to kindly share a poem. She is kind enough to offer this.
Thank you so much for willing to give me a chance to read a very small poem. I'm walking, but this is actually my first poem I wrote in for Orissa Society of America. Your silence. Your silence. But silence can also mean confidence and mutual respect. Silence can mean live and let live. Appreciation that I am I and you are you. This silence is an affirmation that we are already together as two people. Words can mean that I want to make you into a friend, and silence can mean that I accept you already being one. That's it. Thank you. This was the first poem I wrote and gathered confidence that I can write.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you so
nice.
Yes, very inspiring. So then, before we close, Kanchana, one or two lines from you.
Uh, I'm really sorry because since I'm not at home, I'm unable to locate any of my poems right now.
No, we are just saying that after listening to our thoughts, one or two from you as a concluding remark.
I'm really thankful that I had this opportunity because I uh, got to know about so many brilliant voices and their perspectives on different takes. So I'm really happy, and what you are doing is truly incredibly good, Mr. Anand, because things like this should be continued doing. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And our Biswanidam is an ongoing journey. So we now invite you to be part of our journey. With you, we would like to offer ourselves to our friends in Sri Lanka. So now I would like to say those friends present. September, we have a few upcoming activities. I invite you to kindly take note of it and be with us. So September 26 is the birthday of the great philosopher, Professor J.N. Mohanty, a world-engaging philosopher. So we hold our Biswanidam J.N. Mohanty lecture. This is the first lecture on September 26. It would be given around 8 p.m. Indian time by Professor Purushottam Bilimoria, who himself is a great philosopher and thinker. Then September 28, our Sunday, we are having one economist to speak with us on the contemporary crisis of world trade and other issues. Then September 30 is the birthday of Professor Andre Bete. So he's a great thinker, sociologist. It would be our second Andre Bete memorial, not memorial lecture, second Andre Bete lecture on September 30. So these three activities, and our October 3rd is our Biswanidam birthday, the foundation day. So these four events, we share it with you, and you please join us.
Ananta bhai,
Thank
do you have to share any poem like you listened, you also, you are also a poet, so if you get the book, by the time I will bore all the audience with one more poetry, one more poem.
Okay, please.
Yes. Okay, as Ananta bhai is getting his book, so I thought this is also very important. I would share if we have 1 or 2 minutes time. The title of the poem is Dark Rainbow. It is about the LGBTQ community. So it was published in 2020. So in the book Beyond Alienation, Hatred and Terror. So it goes like this. Windows open to a new horizon. Windows open to a new horizon, arms to the newness, to embrace the vastness. Starry eyes blink with a new hope, trying hard to wipe out the age old fear, the age old fear of darkness. In the distant horizon, clouds are moving. In the distant horizon, clouds are moving, spreading everywhere the colors of spectrum. The definition of beauty melts down slowly. Along with the Stone Age rules, after a stream of stormy weather, along with the Stone Age rules, it melts down after a stream of stormy weather. Diplomacy flows down in nature's flow, in nature's favor. The eager minds waited to taste the freedom. The eager minds waited to taste the freedom and to savor love. The Lord's has been taken off the soul with removal of the criminal tag. Starting the scattered, battering the life afresh, the love for humanity flips its wings. The love for humanity flips its wings to fly high in the sky and to be defined as humans. Thank you. Thank you. Anandabhai is back now. He will do that.
Thank you. So I would offer two, beginning with this one. Oh, what is the secret? Your look so radiant, agile and fit. Do you want to know? Oh, he has many loves. He is confirming it by giving a hug. But is it confirmation or witnessing alchemies of soul touches and co-realizations? The second one is, you want to understand me, then touch is not enough, nor even our time in bed or bedroom. Come with me in my travels. Walk with me as I walk the dusty paths and dance with men, women, and children. Sing to birds and sky, plants and animals. Come running with me without any attire and arrogance. Our love blossoms in the dance of travel and translations. When we translate our eyes to an ocean of becoming.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I requested. Thank you so much. Thank you. Can we now conclude the session, Anantbhai?
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Yeah. I, Minati Pradhan, on behalf of Sudhyasa Chakra and Vishwanidam Center for Asian Blossoming, would like to thank our today's chief speaker, Ms. Kanchana Priyakanta, for our presentation, bringing forth all the challenges faced by the Sri Lankan writers. Thank you so much, ma'am. I also would like to thank Dr. Betty Govindan. As always, her presence has been very enlightening. Thank you, ma'am, so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I also
Thank you.
would like to thank Sister Shalini, Mrs. Chandra Misra, Professor A.Y. Mysore, Dr. Maruf Shah, Mr. Asutosh, Mr. Afan, and the people who are present with us in our Facebook platform and as well as in our YouTube platform. Please pardon me if I have forgotten anybody's name, but I really thank all of you for joining us in this co-learning, joining in this journey. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.